Oh man, Chris, can you please come back? You're really scaring me, man. I don't get it. You must know something that I don't know.
You know, we're looking forward to next Thursday, and hopefully he's in the lineup and he's ready to go.
The Kansas City Chiefs have a huge problem, and this problem is so large that it could ruin the entirety of their season. And believe me, this is a team that's overcome a lot of obstacles. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we get all that out of the way, this is pretty much free money. We only need to correctly pick 2 squares to 3x our money on PrizePicks. And to celebrate the NFL season kicking off, PrizePicks is giving us a free square. All Dak Prescott needs is 1 passing yard in order to fulfill his square. So you combine that with Travis Kelce, who only needs 1 receiving touchdown, and in my opinion, this is a guaranteed win in our books. I don't care if you're the biggest Cowboy hater on earth, Dak Prescott will get 1 passing yard. And we all know Travis Kelce is definitely going to get 1 receiving touchdown. And if you haven't signed up for PrizePicks yet, you could match your initial deposit by using my promo code microphone when you sign up. That's promo code microphone when you sign up for PrizePicks, or just click on the link in the description down below. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Kansas City Chiefs are without a doubt in the most enviable position out of all teams in the NFL. Not only did they hit on a once-in-a-generation type talent in Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes also seems more consumed with perfecting his legacy as opposed to resetting the current quarterback market. For those of you guys remember, in the summer of 2020, Patrick Mahomes signed a 10-year contract. And at the time, that would make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And since then, the market for quarterbacks has completely turned upside its head. At the time that we're making this video, the highest paid quarterback in the NFL is Justin Herbert, averaging $52.5 million a year, which makes Patrick Mahomes the 8th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Now, Mahomes has said many times that this doesn't bother him. You can see it right here.
And winning rings more than making money at this moment. I've made enough money where I'll be set for the rest of my life.
And to be honest, I think this is a brilliant play by Patrick Mahomes. By following the Tom Brady model, not only does he guarantee a successful team being built around him throughout his prime, and the Kansas City Chiefs to consistently make it to the Super Bowl each and every year so long as he's healthy, or hell, even when he isn't healthy, considering the way they won the Super Bowl last year. But by consistently being the face of the NFL and the best player in the NFL, he's going to guarantee himself lucrative sponsorships to more than make up for the deficit between him and the top highest paid quarterback in the NFL. So it's a win-win in my opinion, which is why I believe this situation is so enviable. But a player that isn't talked about as much on the Kansas City Chiefs, at least amongst casual football fans or people that barely watch the sport of football, is their second best player on the team. You see, whenever you think Kansas City Chiefs, you're immediately thinking Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce. But the one player that is consistently forgotten about on the Kansas City Chiefs is the captain of their defense, which is without a doubt one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL, and that's Chris Jones. For those of you that forgot, Chris Jones is the main reason why the Kansas City Chiefs made it to the Super Bowl last year. I mean, let's go back to the AFC Championship game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. On 3rd and 8 with 44 seconds left to go in the 4th, Chris Jones made a season-saving play, sacking Joe Burrow and sending the Kansas City Chiefs to the Super Bowl. Now, of course, there's many plays that sends a team to the Super Bowl. We could all agree, if it wasn't for this particular play, there may have been a chance that the Chiefs don't even make it to the Super Bowl. And since the Chiefs' Super Bowl victory, both the Kansas City Chiefs and Chris Jones have been at odds in regards to a contract extension, and it's gotten pretty ugly. I mean, about a week ago, Chris Jones has even suggested that he would sit out until week 8. No, seriously, look at this. Sean Berkey tweets at Stone Cold Jones, so when are you going to show up? Because you be playing too much on Twitter and social media. You've been an all-pro on social media during training camp. You're under contract for this year, correct? For how much money? Man, I bet it's rough to live on $20 million a year. And Chris Jones just responded saying week 8. A Kansas City Chiefs fan would respond to him saying that'd be a hefty tab, and Chris Jones would say, I can afford it. The issue with Chris Jones and the Kansas City Chiefs currently is primarily how defensive tackles are being paid currently. If you take a look at who the highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL is right now, it's Aaron Donald. He's getting paid $31.67 million a year. The second highest paid defensive tackle was paid more recently than Aaron Donald, and that's Quinnen Williams. So why did Aaron Donald get paid so much money? Well, Aaron Donald had leverage over the LA Rams. He threatened retirement, saying there's nothing else left for him to achieve. He's content with the amount of money he's made and the legacy that he's carved up for the LA Rams, and he was content walking away, but the LA Rams weren't content letting him walk away. The solution was to offer Aaron Donald a contract that he just couldn't refuse, making him the highest paid defensive player in the entire NFL. I mean, this is higher than any edge rusher and any defensive tackle is getting paid currently. TJ Watt, for instance, is getting paid $28 million a year. Nick Bosa might be able to make that a $29 or $30 million number, but it's going to be very difficult to beat out Aaron Donald's contract. The problem with this is typically each and every year the salary cap goes up. So it's fairly easy to look at your defensive tackle or defensive end and say,
hey, we're gonna make you the highest paid edge rusher or defensive tackle in the NFL.
But when there's a $7 million gap between the highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL and the second highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL, that's when we begin to run into problems. So here's what Patrick Mahomes had to say on the Chris Jones situation.
I know that stuff, contract stuff, is hard to talk about because everybody wants to make money for their entire family and everything like that. But I know how much Chris loves the Chiefs. He loves being a part of this organization. And so I just try to stay out of it and just tell Chris that I love him and that whenever he does come back, he'll be welcomed with open arms. And we know that he's preparing himself so that whenever he does get back, he can be that dominant player that he always has been.
And to give you an idea of how dominant Chris Jones is on the defensive side of the ball, here's how the Kansas City Chiefs look on defense when Chris Jones is on the field versus when Chris Jones is off of the field. They rank first in quarterback pressure percentage when Chris Jones is on the field, and they're 28th when Chris Jones is off of the field. That's a pretty big deal considering the fact that Chris Jones generates so much pressure to make opposing quarterbacks uncomfortable and force some 3-and-outs or mitigate scoring. When you pair that with the most dominant offense in the NFL, and that typically will be a recipe for Super Bowls. But that's a fairly pedestrian way to quantify Chris Jones's value. Here's a chart that demonstrates how dominant Chris Jones truly is on the pass rush. If you look at the y-axis, that represents the pass rush win rate, and the x-axis representing the double team rate, which means Chris Jones not only dominates at pass rush win rate, but he's one of the most double team defensive players, if not the most double team defensive tackle in all of the NFL. At least he was in 2022. So it gets pretty interesting because you can see Travis Kelce here begging Chris Jones to come back.
Yeah, man. Oh, is there any updates on Chris Jones? How he's handling this situation? Do you want to talk about it?
Oh man, Chris, can you please come back? You're really scaring me, man. I don't get it. You must know something that I don't know because I just don't get it. I really want to get another Super Bowl ring with you, brother. This is me bargaining you to just come back and play football for the Chiefs.
And even Brett Veach, the general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs, giving us a lowdown about what the situation is currently looking like.
Listen, certainly hopeful for that. You know, we have been in communication, and actually just the last 2 days, we've been in more communication. So going to continue to press on and work hard, and a lot of respect on both sides of this thing. And obviously well stated how we feel about Chris, and he feels the same way. So again, we're just going to keep working on this thing, and you know, we're looking forward to next Thursday, and hopefully he's in the lineup and he's ready to go.
So the good news is, if Brett Veach has this little smirk as he's talking about it, it means the two sides aren't too far apart. And as a matter of fact, Tony Pauline actually doubles down on this when she says, so where do the Chris Jones contract negotiations presently stand? People have spoken with belief that the deal will get done soon and the two sides are not far apart. That being the case, I'm also told that the Kansas City Chiefs are standing firm in their most recent offer and may not be willing to budge anymore. So it could go really either way at this point. Andy Reid gave us a very typical head coaching response when asked about Chris Jones by saying this.
Everybody makes our own decisions. I mean, that's the way it is in life. That's the way it is in football. Certain guys do it one way. Certain guys do it another way. You know, Chris has chosen to go this route. Some other guys have chosen to get their deals done and come in and play. So I'm not here to criticize one way or the other. We've had a lot of success with the guys that we have, and we go with it. And we got a heck of a Lions team coming in here, and with the guys we've got, we're going to get those guys ready to play against the Lions, and I know they'll be fired up to play. And other than that, I take the distractions and throw them out the door, and let's get on with what's real. That means the guys that are here and the guys that that the Lions they're going to show up and with a good football team.
But there's no question about it. The Kansas City Chiefs are a completely different team when Chris Jones isn't on the football field. I mean, at that point, you're pretty much instructing your defensive tackles to focus on stopping the run as opposed to generating pressure on the opposing QB. This may mean that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to find themselves in significantly more shootouts. So there's no question about it. It's very important to get Chris Jones back before their week 1 game versus the Detroit Lions. I personally think it's going to happen. I think the reason why the Chiefs and Chris Jones aren't in agreement on a contract is probably the length of the deal. And the reason why the Chiefs can't offer Chris Jones that long of a deal is the fact that they have a lot of players that they need to pay, and it's difficult to make these long-term commitments to players. So I personally think that Chris Jones will get signed before the season starts. I think a trade is completely out of the question, but that's my take on the matter. Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think the Chiefs will be able to bring back Chris Jones? Because if not, we could all agree that this could ruin the Kansas City Chiefs season. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.